When we think about climate change, we usually picture melting ice caps or extreme weather. But what if one of the biggest threats is hiding somewhere you'd never expect, like on your dinner plate? Today, we're diving into how our warming planet might be turning one of the world's most important foods potentially toxic.
Yeah, I know. It's a pretty startling question, isn't it? But it's one we absolutely have to ask. So let's break down the science behind how this is even possible, and more importantly, what it actually means for the food that you and I eat.
To really get why this is such a huge deal, you have to understand just how massive rice is for humanity. We're talking over 500 million tons consumed every single year. For more than half the people on this planet, especially in Asia, rice isn't just a side dish, it's their main source of calories. It's not just food, it's fundamental. All right, so what exactly is this hidden danger we're talking about? What's this threat lurking in our rice paddies? Well, it's a chemical, one that's actually found all over the place in nature. But something is changing, and it's making it way, way more dangerous. And the culprit is arsenic. Yep, that arsenic. In its inorganic form, it is a seriously potent toxin. And we're not talking about a mild stomachache here. Long-term exposure is linked to some really devastating stuff. Various cancers, heart disease, and something that's truly scary. It can severely impact brain development in kids.
So the big question is, how on earth did scientists connect this naturally occurring poison to climate change? What's the link? Well, that discovery came from a massive international study, a real landmark piece of research that gives us a crucial peek into the future of our food. And this was no small thing. A team of scientists from the US and China spent 9 years. Think about that, almost a decade on this. They took 28 different kinds of rice and grew them in these carefully controlled environments, basically creating a time machine to see what our world might be like in the coming decades.
So here's how they did it. They set up 4 different scenarios. First, you had your control group, just business as usual under today's conditions. Then for the second group, they jacked up the CO2 levels. For the third, they just raised the heat by 2 degrees Celsius. And then for the final one, the big one, they did both, combining the higher temps and the extra CO2 to simulate a very real potential future.
And the results? Honestly, they're pretty alarming. Just bumping up the temperature by 2 degrees caused arsenic levels to jump by 17%. But, and this is the real kicker, when they combined the higher temps and the higher CO2, the arsenic in the rice just skyrocketed. We're talking about a nearly 50% increase. Wow.
Okay, so what is actually happening down in the dirt to cause this massive jump? To get that, we need to zoom way, way in, down to the microscopic level, to see how this poison is sneaking its way into the plant in the first place. It turns out it's this fascinating and kind of frightening chain reaction. It all starts when rice paddies get flooded, which starves the soil of oxygen. Those higher temperatures act like a supercharger for certain bacteria that love that oxygen-free environment. These bacteria then get to work, and they basically unlock the natural arsenic in the soil, converting it into a much more toxic form. Now here's the wild part. The rice plant's roots get confused. They mistake this poison for silicon, a nutrient it needs to grow. So the plant gets tricked, and it actively sucks up the toxin, storing it right in the grain, the very part we eat. So we've got the chemistry down. But what does this all mean for us, for our health? This is where it gets really serious. The study didn't just stop with the plants. The scientists projected what the real-world human cost could be. And their projections are sobering. By the year 2050, they estimate that this arsenic-contaminated rice could lead to a 44% increase in the rates of bladder, lung, and skin cancers, specifically in a high rice-consuming country like China.
A 44% increase, what does that even mean in human terms? Well, they calculated that too. We are looking at an estimated 193 million people. Let that sink in for a second. Nearly 200 million people in just one country and an increased risk for cancer, simply from their staple food. It's a massive public health crisis in the making.
And it doesn't stop with cancer. This is so important. The same toxin is linked to impaired cognitive development and memory function, especially in children, as well as a higher risk of heart disease for everyone. So the threat isn't just one thing, it's a whole host of serious health problems.
Okay, so this all sounds pretty dire, I know. But here's the good news. This isn't just a story about a problem, it's also a story about solutions. The very same science that uncovered this threat is now in a race to fix it.
And honestly, there's some real hope on the horizon. Right now, researchers are pursuing two main strategies. On one hand, you have a really high-tech approach, genetic editing. This means tweaking the plant's DNA, basically teaching it to tell the difference between the good stuff and the poison. On the other hand, there's a simpler, low-tech solution coming from research in India, focused on smart farming and just changing how the fields are watered. That genetic editing approach has shown incredible promise. In lab experiments, scientists have already created rice plants that absorb 63% less arsenic. I mean, that is a huge reduction. It's a powerful, precise solution being developed in labs around the world. But what's really cool is that we don't necessarily have to wait for that lab-grown solution. The smart farming technique, which involves alternately flooding and then drying the fields, disrupts the bacteria that release the arsenic. And this simple change in practice has been shown to reduce arsenic levels by a very significant 25%. It's a practical solution that farmers could start using right away. And this really brings us to a final, crucial question. As we face challenges like this, will the solutions that save our food supply come from editing its very DNA in a lab or from relearning how to work with the land? The real answer is likely both, but it's a choice that is absolutely going to define the future of agriculture.